1. Good evening, Happy New Year, welcome everyone. I, Todd Alcott of the City of Bowling Green, Kentucky, pursuant to KRS 83A150, do hereby call a special meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Bowling Green, Kentucky, beginning at 4:30 p.m. Tuesday, January 5th of the year 2021, in person and by video conference. Greetings, Bowling Green. I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. I want to say special consideration to the City of Bowling Green, especially to Jeff Meisel, you and your team, for taking us through an austere year. And so my hat's off to you for what you have done for our community, what you've done for our city. You and your team have brought in over $20 million of CARES dollars that put us in a much different situation than what we were thinking back in March of 2020. So I want to say thank you very much. Before we begin, I'd like to reflect just back to a quote from Benjamin Franklin. May you be at war with all your vices. May you be at peace with all your friends. And may the new year find you to be a better person. Without further ado, Commissioner Carlos Bailey is going to lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance, and he has a special guest that's going to do our invocation. So, Commissioner Bailey.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to introduce Samuel Hunter. He's the pastor of Next Level. He's going to give our first opening invocation for 2021. Pastor Hunter, take it away.
All right, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you today for allowing each of us to make it into 2021. We thank you for allowing our city leaders to organize and commence their first special Board of Commissioners meeting of 2021. Lord, I pray today that you would give each commissioner and the mayor discernment, keen insight, and the ability to make sound decisions that will please you and will benefit, enhance, and enrich our community. I pray each leader assembled here today will focus their attention solely on making Bowling Green, Kentucky, the best city it could possibly be, given the circumstances we are currently facing. I pray this board becomes a high-functioning, high-impact unit that doesn't put things off, but works fervently to get the job done with excellence and precision. Lord, I thank you for this group of individuals, and I pray that you continue to cover, protect, and watch over them and their families to keep them safe and healthy. These things we pray. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Man, I would ask everyone to stand and face the flag as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, to which it stands, one republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Bailey. Thank you, Pastor Hunter. It's a great way to start off the new year. So now we'll turn to our city clerk, Ms. Ashley Jackson. Will you please do a roll call?
Commissioner Bailey.
Here.
Commissioner Beasley Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Perigin.
Here.
And Mayor Alcott.
Here. All right. Our city manager, Mr. Meisel, do you have any comments, announcements that you are
Yes,
that
I
you'd
do.
like to make at this time?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few. Just want to give everyone just a quick update. Was on the phone today and emailing with our Warren County Emergency Management Director, Ronnie Pearson. He and others are working hard on getting as many vaccines to Warren County and our area as possible. It is a challenge right now, but they're working with the state, talking with the governor, and trying to get as many as they can each week in here so we can get as many people vaccinated that are wanting to get vaccinated, starting with the healthcare workers. So I want to thank him for his hard work on that. We're trying to get our police and fire, the ones that are wanting to get the vaccines, get those people vaccinated as quickly as possible. I want to thank a couple people within our staff, Brad Stinson, Alex Cook in IT, as well as Ashley Jackson, Hope Spiller, Kim Lancaster, and City Manager Office for putting all this together today. This was tested multiple times with Life Size, with the broadcasting team, and to bring this hybrid meeting, we're going to call it, of in-person and virtual together. We didn't know if we'd be able to pull it off, but here we are, and first meeting of 2021, and we're really excited to bring this to you all with virtual and in-person in the meeting. And last of all, I want to congratulate our Bowling Green High School Purples football team for winning the 5A football championship just a few weeks ago up in Lexington. Congratulations to Coach Mark Spader and all the Bowling Green High School football players.
Congratulations, Purples. Go Purples. Thank you, Mr. Meisel. At this time, we're going to go ahead and municipal order number 2021, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Melinda Hill, second by Ms. Peregrine. Ms., please read.
Bailey?
Yay.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. All right, motion approved. Second order is municipal order number 2021-2. Please read.
-1. Municipal order approving the promotions of Teresa Hendrick of the Human Resources Department, Pam Hurt of the Public Works Department, Karen Pierce of the Parks and Recreation Department, and Buffy Watt of the Fire Department to the position of Office Associate 2.
A motion?
So moved. Second.
All right, motion by Peregrine, second by Melinda.
Mayor, with your permission, I would like to cover these first 5 items are personnel-related items. So I'd like to turn it over to Aaron Holsey, who's with us virtually, our HR director, to cover these first 5 items. And Aaron, you want to take this first one?
Sure. So welcome for those of you. It's nice to see you all. So we have a career pathing program for our office associates, and they are spread out throughout all of the departments and multiple divisions. And this is an opportunity for them to be able to, as they advance in their role, be able to earn some more money. And so this is we changed our policy about a year ago, and we are now testing twice a year. We also reduced the eligibility from 4 years to 2 years. So everyone, all 4 of these women have accomplished at least 2 years with the city, and they have passed the test, which is a combination of, get those right here, several skills and on base, so I'm finding it. So it's keyboarding, proofreading, language arts, Excel, and Word, as well as some data entry and numeric filing. So we have scores set up for each of those, and all of them passed them. So I am requesting your approval for their promotions.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Motion to proceed.
Second.
All right, first was
So moved.
Sue first, second by Carlos. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. All right, next is municipal order number 2021-2.
Municipal order approving the career path advancement of Ricky Parker to the position of Operations Technician 1 in the Public Works Department.
So moved. Second.
All right, Melinda is motion and second by Peregrine.
Back to you,
Aaron. Aaron? Aaron, we're not getting your
Aaron, you're on mute.
audio.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Ricky Parker has actually been with the city a couple times. He worked for the city back for about 2 years in 2015 and 16. And then he came back to us in 2019, worked as a temporary seasonal employee, and then was hired on as a full-time position in Public Works into our entry-level position, which is Laborer 2. And we have a career pathing program in this area as well. And for this first stage, automatically someone is promoted to an operations maintenance technician after they've completed at least 6 months and they have achieved their CDL. And so I think that Ricky would have gotten his CDL a little bit earlier, but they did delay some of the testing this summer due to the pandemic. So he has achieved his eligibility for his OMT1 promotion.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I just have one question. She stated that Ricky left and he came back. Was there a reason why he left and come back to work for the city?
Yeah, he was a part-time seasonal employee when he was working for us in 15-16. He was going to school, and as stated in the memo, he did work. Sorry, that was the memo when we hired him, but he did work for another company for a period of time, and then he came back to us again in a part-time capacity, and then was hired onto the full-time position. So lots of our seasonal, temporary, part-time workers, come and go like that, not uncommon.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Sure.
Okay, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2021-3.
Municipal order approving the promotion of Scott Hunt to the position of Chief Building Inspector in the Neighborhood and Community Services Department.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Hill. Discussion, Ms. Husley?
Sure. So we recently had a vacancy in our Neighborhood and Community Services Department in the Building Division for, it could have been one of two positions. It was previously a Building Services Manager, which was overseeing the entire division. In order to hold the position of Chief Building Inspector, you have to have a certain certification, which the person who was previously in the position did not have that certification. And so when we went out to recruit for the position, we looked internally as well as externally. We only had a couple of candidates because it's a pretty niche job, but we did have an internal candidate that we interviewed, which is Scott Hunt, and he already has his level 3 certification as recognized by the state of Kentucky. And so when we decided to promote him, he already had that certification. So we are recommending that he fill the position of Chief.
Discussion? No discussion at this time. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2021-4.
Municipal order approving the probationary appointment of Raina Johnson to the position of Broadcast Specialist in the Office of City Manager.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Hill. Ms. Husley?
So I believe that Raina Johnson is there in the chambers with you today. She's working with Kim Lancaster and looking to soon take over these duties. So maybe if she's around, she could give a wave. But we did have a resignation for our previous broadcast specialist, Hunter Harris. And so we did our normal recruitment. We received 39 applications. We ended up interviewing 8 individuals, and then we did a final interview with 2. As you can see, Raina Johnson has been selected for the position. She is a graduate from WKU in broadcasting and video production, and she has currently been employed by WNKY as a promotions producer, and she also worked for WKU PBS as a promotions coordinator. She also is self-employed. She's got a great website. We were able to go on and see a lot of her creative productions that she has done on her own. So I know that we are really excited for Raina to join our team.
Thank you. Open for discussion? No discussion? Roll call?
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2021-5.
Municipal order approving the probationary appointment of Zachary Tony to the position of landscape gardener in the Parks and Recreation Department.
Mosley?
Okay, so
So moved.
our last appointment
hang
of
on,
the
hang on.
day. Okay,
Second.
All right. We're getting the parliamentary here. Just thank you.
We'll get in a groove.
We're
gonna
getting
get in
there.
a
We're
groove.
getting there.
Don't worry.
Motion by
Congratulations.
Ms. Hill, second by Perigin. All right, Ms. Hasley, so
Okay.
your turn.
sure. So this position is open due to a resignation in the landscape department. And we received 10 applications and we ended up interviewing 5. And Zach Tony has been working on and off with the city since 2015. And he recently worked in the golf division. Everyone that he works with just really says great things about his work ethic. And so when a full-time position became available, we encouraged him to apply. And so he'll be joining the landscape team in a full-time capacity. So we're really excited. You can see a lot of times we get to promote and people come in either seasonal positions or part-time positions, and we get to bring them on full-time. And that's certainly one of our missions. We really enjoy doing that. So he's been a great addition.
Mr. Meisel?
I would just like to make a comment about our landscape division and the wonderful job they did with Fountain Square Park and Circus Square Park. I haven't had an opportunity to do that publicly, but the work that they put into that and the beauty of it this year with the soft LED lights they put up in Fountain Square Park were just, I think, were the best ever. So I'd like to thank Jay Doherty and his team, landscape division. And Zach, Mr. Tony will be part of that team, and they're a critical, important team that making our city beautiful 365 days a year, and especially during the months of December and January with the downtown park. So I want to thank them for that.
Let's need a reprieve.
If you're so right, I cannot tell you how many people called, emailed, reached out, saw me on the streets, and I know Melinda probably had the same experience to say how awesome Fountain Square Park and Circus Square Park looked this year. And I would say with COVID, it was a much-needed place to go find a little bit of distance and peace.
Our landscape division manager had COVID for a couple weeks, and he was out, so it was a struggle to get it all done. So
Beautiful.
thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal Order Number 2021-6.
Municipal order electing Sue Perigin as mayor pro tem.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hill, and I believe
Yeah.
Beasley Brown got the second. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. I'm hanging in there. All right. So this one's over to me for discussion. In tradition with what I believe to be the most voters within the city commission, which goes to you, Ms. Perigin. I am nominating you to be pro tem and to be in my second. So I'm opening this up for discussion.
Can I say a word or two to the citizens of Bowling Green who voted for me? I want to say very, very thank you, humbly thank you, and I look forward to serving another 2 years and helping to lead the community out of what we, it's a disaster, basically, into back to where we were on a trajectory that was only up and prosperous, and I hope to hear from folks, and I want to say thank you again for allowing me to serve as mayor pro tem. I'll look forward to serving along with Todd. I really enjoyed serving with Bruce, and so just, whatever you need in that capacity. I've had several people ask me what that means, and it basically, there is a Webster's definition for what pro tem means, and it means exactly for the time being. That's what that means. So for whatever you need, somebody to step in for you for the time being, I'll be happy to do such. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin.
Like I should vote on that? Should I? Yeah. I probably shouldn't vote on my own.
You want to abstain?
Yeah.
And Alcott.
Yes. All right. Municipal Order number 2021-7.
Municipal order approving.
Motion, oh, sorry, you read.
Municipal order approving the appointment of Commissioner Melinda Hill to the Bowling Green Audit Committee and Job Development Incentive Program Committee.
So moved. Second.
I'm going to take Beasley Brown as the motion and second by Perigin. And this is over to me. So I am nominating Ms. Hill. Talk to her about this position. This is about accountability for our city. And she has a great deal of amount of responsibility in the financial world, but this goes much beyond that. And I have the utmost confidence that you will bring your experience to this board, which holds our city accountable to the taxpayers. And so I'm excited to nominate you for this. The Job Development Incentive Program Committee, you bring a wealth of experience to this, and I'm very excited to nominate you for this position.
Thank you.
Both of these. All right. Further discussion?
Congratulations, Melinda.
Thank you.
All right. Without any further discussion, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Abstain.
Perigin?
Yes.
And Alcott.
Yes. Municipal Order 2021-8.
Municipal order approving the appointment of Mayor Todd Alcott to the Bowling Green Municipal Utilities Board and Bowling Green Warren County Local Emergency Planning Committee.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Perigin, second by Hill. I will state that I'm taking my prerogative to make appointments. This is something very important to me. The BGMU Board provides a wealth of experience and actually not experience, but they provide a wealth of commodities to our community. And I'm very interested in finding out more. I've met with Mr. Iverson. He's the CEO of BGMU. And, some of the things that I campaigned on are, the expansion of broadband and what we can do as a community to bring that to our students, to bring that to our community where have and have isn't. And, I know that goes beyond our city borders, but they provide a commodity to our entire county. And there's many wonderful things with BGMU happening, and I'd like the opportunity to be able to serve in that board. The Local Emergency Planning Committee is by de facto supposed to be the mayor, so I accept that responsibility, and we'll take that nomination as well. So I leave it open to discussion.
Congratulations. Perfect boards.
All right, no further discussion at this time. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott.
Sustain. Municipal Order 2021-9.
Municipal order approving the appointment of Commissioner Dana Beasley Brown to the Barren River District Health Board and Job Development Incentive Program Committee.
So move.
Second.
Good.
Motion by Hill, second by Perigin. The discussion on this is pretty simple. Both of the committees of these boards asked for Ms. Beasley Brown's continuance on these boards. So it's wonderful to hear the work that she's already accomplished for the Barren River District Health Board and the Job Development Incentive Program. And so we've been back and forth on messages, but give me a couple nods that you were good to go with this, Ms. Beasley Brown. Oh, and a thumbs up, even better. I know I'm excited, for you to continue in this work, and I also find it important that the entire commission, that we spread our wealth and that we divide and conquer and work together as a team for our entire community. So I'm trying to find the appointments that will, across the board, make us a better team. So this is open for discussion.
Congratulations to Dana also.
All right, no further discussion. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Abstain.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal Order number 2021-10.
Municipal order approving the appointment of Commissioner Carlos Bailey to the Housing Authority of Bowling Green and Workforce Recruitment and Outreach Committee.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Beasley Brown, second by Perigin. For this was, Carlos and I have met, we talked. You've agreed to take these positions, and I'm excited about your new role as a commissioner, excited to work with you in our future, because, you and I are both new. Melinda's returning. The rest are, the continuity that continues us. But would like to appoint you to the Housing Authority of Bowling Green and the Workforce Recruitment and Outreach Committee, both very integral to developing our workforce and to look at housing ideas for our future and our needs. So I'm hopefully, and I know that you told me you accept these, so
Do, and I appreciate it, Mayor. Thank you a lot.
absolutely. Any further discussion?
Congratulations, Carlos. Those are two great boards.
Thank you.
All right, roll call, please.
Bailey?
I'm abstaining.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal Order Number 2021-11.
Municipal order approving the appointment of Commissioner Sue Perigin to the Bowling Green Warren County Drug Task Force and Warren County Downtown Economic Development Authority Incorporated.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Hill, second by Carlos Bailey. I am appointing Ms. Perigin to two integral boards. One, I've already appreciate the work that you have accomplished in the past for the, well, I know the Downtown Economic Board. This is TIF funds. This is very important to our community. It works with our county, and so your work is stated accolades for itself, and I'd like you to continue that work, and so that's why I'm nominating you for this position. The Downtown Economic, the Drug Task Force, that was previously the mayor, but I know you bring a wealth of experience, and I'm looking for that experience to continue for our community, so I'm nominating you for these positions.
I have served on the Drug Task Force in the past, and I really, really appreciate, I cannot say enough, and I hope Tommy Loving is listening to me in that whole group, because the community that we are so blessed to live in today. Yes, we have a Drug Task Force for a reason, because we want to keep as much of that out as we possibly can. And so when we see a lot of communities, even in our own state, that have been ravaged and taken over by illicit drugs and just some bad things that come along with that, we can rest at night well knowing that Tommy and his team they're on it. And that's why we have the quality of the community. When that enters your community, you start to erode, and it goes fast. And so the work that they do and me being able to be a part of that means a lot to me. Thank you very much for that.
Sue, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Abstain.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal Order Number 2021-13.
We're on 12.
Sorry, I checked
Okay.
off the wrong. Municipal Order Number 2021-12.
Municipal order authorizing renewal of bid number 2020-14 for structural firefighting turnout gear from Finley Fire Equipment Company Incorporated, doing business as Bluegrass Fire Equipment of McConnellsville, Ohio, in the total amount not to exceed $98,850.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Carlos Bailey. Mr. Mazel, do you have any discussion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As you know, our firemen have to be protected, and just yesterday, we had a massive fire on River Street, and I think we had all hands on deck at that yesterday. And with that, we have to have the turnout gear, what they call the suits that they wear, the fire protection. And so we went out for bid in December 2019 and awarded a bid to Finley Fire Equipment out of McConnellsville, Ohio, at $1,929 per set. And by the way, these uniforms or this turnout gear has about a 5-year lifespan. It expires after 5 years. The protection wears off, and so we have to replace these roughly every 5 years or so. And so we are electing to renew this contract with, recommending to renew this contract with Finley Fire with a 2.5% increase in the price. They originally proposed 3%, And I want to thank Deputy Chief Rob Gillum for getting back down to 2.5% increase, which brings the total to $19.77 per suit. So we need approximately 34 to be replaced. On top of that, we have an additional 16 sets that we need for new employees coming in, the ones we recently hired. So that brings us to a need to buy roughly 50 sets this coming year at a price of $19.77, which totals it to the $98,850. So I have Chief Colson here with us tonight. He's here to answer any of your questions you might have on this purchase, but we're basically electing to take advantage of the renewal with Findlay Fire and for the $98,850.
Great, thank you.
Jason, do you have anything to add?
I have a question for Jason, if that's okay.
Sure, it's open for discussion.
Okay. I'm just thinking yesterday with the River Road fire and how extremely hot that was, and I spoke with the reporter that was there, that was way across the street, and said I could feel the heat from there, and long ways from where the firefighters were. So is this the equipment that allows you all to get somewhat close to these seriously hot? It's kind of like your bulletproof. It's like likened to the bulletproof vest and a gun a police officer might.
Quite similar. It's one of the primary lines of defense for us, and it's got thermal liners and moisture barriers, and of course the outer shell has kind of some protective coatings that allow us to get to the seat of the fire and get into atmospheres or temperatures that normally your clothes or your skin can't bear. So this allows us to hopefully get in those environments quickly and extinguish the fire and get out. So yeah, this is our primary line of defense.
Well, bless you for what you do, and yesterday was an amazing, really truly amazing feat, and with nobody getting hurt, and calling in Alvaton and God and everybody else to take over for anything else that might happen while our entire department was on scene. That was really incredible.
Sure, I share those comments with the team.
Please do. Thank
Sure.
you all very much.
Hang on. Any further discussion?
Just one last question. How long ago, I think they said that the equipment, it has to be like a 5-year period. The equipment that you guys have currently, is it within that 5-year period, or is it older than that 5-year period?
Technically, it's a 10-year period. I didn't want to.
Sorry.
It's okay.
That's you.
That's even
I wasn't
better.
going to say anything, but it expires in 10 years. The standards that we adhere to requires that turnout gear. It's expired in 10 years. So we have to track, maintain, log, keep records. Even when we launder the gear, we have to maintain those records. So to answer your question, the gear goes to surplus, or it's utilized for training purposes or non-live fire training exercises after that 10 years.
When I guess, is the current equipment that you have, is it older than the 10 years, or is it that you currently have right now?
Okay, each individual, we try and make sure that each individual has 2 sets of turnout gear,
Okay.
but currently no employee is allowed to wear anything that's older than 10 years.
Gotcha.
So we try and plan ahead, forecast, and that's why you see the request for 50 sets. We know over the course of 2021 that we're going to need to replace 34 and purchase 16 to accommodate incoming employees. So,
Thank you, Chief Colson.
yes, sir. Thank you.
So really doing the math, it's under $200 a year for each one. I mean, it's 1,092, and that's
correct.
quick on the math there.
Chief Colson, I just want to say, I got to meet, 8 of your new recruits coming on board. Is it 8 or?
Sir, hey,
Well, so they've just started, and their indoctrination for the next 3 months, they're going to be training to become our finest, and I just know that this is going to protect them, so they're going to protect us, and we want to protect you and your personnel. And the second thing is, the fire yesterday, I saw or heard in the news that we had a volunteer fire department assist. Is that?
So over the course of the last couple of years, we've had some major fires and some significant events that require us to call well, one, to call all on-duty units to the scene, which will put anywhere between 30 to 40 personnel on the scene. But then that leaves the city exposed per se. So we've entered into some agreements with Richardsville Fire Department and Alvaton Fire Department, and we've implemented what they call a strike team. So through dispatch or public safety dispatch, we can pretty quickly stand up our off-duty personnel and Richardsville and Alvaton to help support our needs, whether it's responding to the scene or whether it's to backfill needs of the city. So we've got a pretty good process in place to help make sure when that large event occurs that we try and make sure we have enough units available to respond. So.
Thank you, Chief Colson. I appreciate the collaboration and the teamwork from the community, and recognize the volunteer firefighters, because I think you told me the other day, we always learn from every fire, and that growth and wealth is shared amongst our entire community. So thank you to you and your team. All right, further discussion? All right, roll call.
Bailey?
Yay.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal Order Number 2021-13.
Municipal order authorizing the acceptance of 2021 grant funds from the Appalachia High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area through the Office of National Drug Control Policy in the amount of $36,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Hill.
This is an annual grant that we've gotten for many, many years, thanks to the Appalachian High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Grant Program. And what we do is, I want to thank Nick Cook for applying for this and working with our police department as well. We use this for funding to our personnel that we put on the drug task force, and we use it for overtime expenses with our drug task force for our officers. And so this is a no-match grant. We don't have to put any money up to get this grant, and we've been fortunate to get it for many years. So again, we're asking for approval to accept this money, $36,000, which we think will cover approximately 900 hours of overtime for our officers that are on the drug task force.
Fantastic. Open for discussion. I just want to say to taxpayers out there, whenever we hear the word grant and we hear the word Nick Cook, as I mentioned as we started this meeting, if there's a salary that has brought this community prosperity and $20 million of other people's money, which is CARES dollars, is our money, and effective, but it's coming back to our community in whole. When we hear grant dollars, we appreciate that. So thank you to your team, and Nick Cook, I wanted to mention special. So
Especially when there are no match grants.
no match, exactly.
We like that.
Even better. All right, any more discussion? Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal Order Number 2021-14.
Municipal order authorizing, approving construction and accepting maintenance of North Graham Street Extension and associated right-of-way.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Hill. Discussion?
So Mayor, this is an access road to the new Southern Recycling Facility up Louisville Road. To get to Southern Recycling, you go through North Graham and take a left just past Brad. And so they built this road, no city dollars involved. We have inspected it. Planning and Zoning has also inspected it for all the requirements. It's roughly 0.4 miles. It runs right back down alongside the railroad track back toward town. And we've inspected it for storm infrastructure, pavement, everything meets the standards. And they're asking us to accept it as a city street now. And I don't have anybody from Public Works here, but everything is good to go. So we're asking for your permission to accept this as a city street. Again, it's 2,145 linear feet, almost a half mile.
Is that going to be the name?
No sidewalks, nothing like that. It's just a standard access road, 2-lane. The name is, I thought I saw it.
It's North Graham.
Don't you?
I think it's still North Grand.
This is to the new location of Southern Recycling?
Yes, yes, sir. This is to avoid having to take trucks over the steep incline of the railroad track.
Just so you know, I made this trek a week ago after Christmas with all my boxes, my cans, and recyclables. And it took a little navigation, because once you get on Plum Springs, you take the left and you navigate down this road. But the facilities are premier, and the ability to recycle is there. But right now, we have to have a commitment from our people and our personnel within the city, with outside the city, to make that trek. So what I will tell you is it's worth it, and try it, and go out there and bring your recyclables at this moment. So just want to caveat that. All right. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2021-15.
Municipal order approving a radio transmission tower site lease agreement with Mobile Communications Service of Bowling Green Incorporated and authorizing the mayor to execute the lease agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Hill. Open for discussion, or would like Mr. Myers?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. As you all know, we own the Glen Lily property out Glen Lily Road, Price Chapel. It's roughly 260-plus acres. Back in 1995, we did an agreement with Mobile Communications Service to allow them to build a tower out there on our property. It's right on the front part of the property in front of the landfill area. And in exchange for doing that, they allowed us to put a 800 radio piece of equipment on that tower for us to communicate with our police and fire and others. Up until 2013, that was our only radio tower to service our 800 radio system, which is kind of scary. So in 2013, the city and county came together. We did a joint project, and we now have a new radio system in place. It includes 5 towers, if you count the water tower on the top of Reservoir Hill. But long story short, we are proposing to renew this agreement for another 10 years to use that tower as one of our spots for our 800 system. Chief Colson is here with us still. He is the chairman of the Bowling Green Warren County Radio Agency that oversees our 800 radio system and can answer any questions on this. But this is a critical piece that we need to maintain, and we need to renew the lease on. And it's basically a swap out the land for use on the tower. So Jason can answer any further questions you have or add to this discussion. Jason.
Council members, open for discussion.
Chief Colson, I have a question. Is there a chance that this is going to transition to any other megahertz? That's the first. But the second, like, how far, since we changed it in 2013 and there's 5 towers now, what is the distance or the frequency range of this tower that's currently located there?
Okay.
I don't care which.
No, that's fine.
first, brother.
Jeff said I'll answer your questions. I'll do my best to answer your questions.
Feel free to correct me.
No, you're fine.
4 towers plus the transmitter.
As far as a frequency change, my understanding is the FCC controls the 700 and 800 megahertz bandwidths. It requires licensing, and it's very secure for public safety purposes and encryption and some of those things that our law enforcement partners need. And my understanding of, I think you mentioned a 900 megahertz system. I think that's more of I think that's a non-licensed band that's really open for private business use or trucking businesses, those types of things. So as far as I'm concerned, or to the best of my knowledge, we'll stay on that protected band 700, 800 megahertz that FCC controls for our purposes.
The next 10 years?
For the next 10 years, and yeah, as far as I'm not familiar of any proposed changes to change our frequencies. As far as your coverage, I don't know specifically the answer to your question, but I do know the system as a whole, which includes the 4 towers and the 5th tower utilizing BGMU, gives us approximately 95% coverage inside the city limits of Bowling Green, approximately 91% throughout the whole county. and that's at street level. So I don't know the distance that particular tower provides. I do know before, we implemented a 4 or 5 tower system. That particular tower provided, well, actually, let me back up. I believe that tower provides 65% of the coverage for the whole system. So it's a primary site for us. So-
Warren County is 532 square miles, so this reaches 95% or 91% of 532 square miles.
The
And
system as a
city,
whole, yeah.
the system as a whole, and the city is roughly a little more than 40 square miles, and we have 95% coverage of that 40 square miles. If that answers your distance questions, hopefully.
Yes, and thank you, Chief Colson. Thanks, Mr. Meisel.
Thank you, Chief. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2021-1. First reading, non-binding.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning tracts of land containing 0.8932 acre from GB General Business to RM4 multifamily residential located at 615, 631 Chestnut Street and 524 and 526 East 7th Avenue, presently owned by New Millennium Real Estate LLC, care of Steve Sutton.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Hill. Mr. Meisel?
I think we have Ben Peterson with us virtually. If you have any questions on this rezoning, it's basically the block or corner of Chestnut and 7th. And Ben, if you want to answer, if you want to make any other comments or answer questions, he's available.
He just got off his last job as Santa.
Yeah, no, I'm here if you have any questions. It's good to see you all. Hopefully see you in person soon.
Open for discussion? All right, no further discussion. Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2020-34, second reading, binding.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning tracts of land containing 1.45 acres from GB General Business and RS1A Single Family Residential to HB Highway Business located at 1218 and 1220 Broadway Avenue and 0 Covington Street, presently owned by Speedway LLC, care of Robert Sweet of McBride Dale Clarion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Hill, second by Perigin. Mr. Meisel?
This is the second reading. I believe representatives of Speedway and their legal counsel are here to answer any of your questions. I think there were some conditions that were met to appease some of the neighbors and people that were not in support of this earlier. I think first reading occurred on this December 1st?
November.
I'm sorry? Has it been that
It
long?
was November 17th, right?
November 17th. I'm going to
Yeah.
I'm going to let Hillary speak up step up. Thank you, Hillary.
Good afternoon. I do just want to say a couple of things. As you all know, I know Mr. Broderick is aware, this is a rezoning hearing that is based upon a review of the record. I know you all have reviewed the planning and zoning hearing as well as the first reading. Mr. Broderick is very aware, I know Ms. Borland is aware too, that any comments need to be limited to what was before that hearing as well as questions. In this particular rezoning proceeding, we do not need to have any additional evidence. That said, I want to say that the developers, based upon comments that were heard both at the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing as well as the first reading here, have voluntarily submitted supplemental, additional development plan conditions to try to satisfy both the neighbors in that area as well as you all. Some of those things include lighting that was requested, a 6-foot privacy wooden fence that will be closest to the residential area at the end of the property line, a landscape buffer that's approximately 10 feet deep that would include trees to buffer the speedway from the residential area. in addition, at Commissioner Beasley Brown's request, I contacted Speedway. I contacted Mr. Broderick last night and again this morning, and he has talked with Speedway. Commissioner Beasley Brown's request was that in addition to providing this buffer area, that be included on the plat so that any future owners are required to continue with that use. It's non-buildable, as well as that they be required to maintain the landscape, the trees, the fencing, while they own it, and future owners as well. So Speedway accommodated that request. I really appreciate them today as we've gone back and forth on the telephone. So those are listed now as number 17 and 18. So I'm going to let Mr. Broderick talk, but I did want to let you all know that those two additional supplementary conditions were voluntarily submitted by Speedway in response to comments. So do you all have any questions of me before Mr. Broderick? And I do know Ms. Borland is here to speak as well.
Well, let me ask you, I guess the buffer zone, does that mean that they have to go back in front of, I guess, the planning commission to get that changed in the future?
Because they are voluntarily submitting them as additional development plan conditions, they do not. If it was something we were requiring, then I believe they would have to. But they have voluntarily submitted that in response to the previous commission's requests as well as the neighbors. And they've worked on this, They've worked on this for, they've tabled it a couple of times and tried to work on their own voluntary conditions that would help the neighborhood be happier with this development, as well as the city commission. So since they're voluntarily submitting them as additional development plan conditions, not necessarily changing the plan, then we can go forward today. And Hamp Moore is here as well. He's the attorney for the planning commission, so if he has an opinion he wants to issue, he can, but that's my understanding.
Okay, so that means if someone purchased it, they can go back to changing that buffer at,
No, because they've agreed voluntarily, submitted these additional plan conditions, that it will be recorded with the plat. Subsequent owners will be bound by what's recorded on the plat, which is that
Gotcha, I
this will
gotcha.
remain a buffer and that they will be responsible in perpetuity for keeping up with the landscape, the
Got you.
fence, and the trees.
they just wouldn't have to go back in front of the planning commission though for it.
Look,
change.
if I may, Hillary, interrupt for a second to clarify, if that's okay.
Sure.
So the way they're presenting this, as I understand it, is these additional conditions, development plan conditions, would be recorded along with what the planning commission had already submitted to you. So since they are doing that, it'll be recorded as with the certificate of land use restriction. So they would be bound to that, would be enforceable by the planning commission, and we would monitor that, take complaints
Yeah.
like any other. So, and then if furthermore, if they wanted to change that, they would have to go back, make an application, have a public hearing, and go back before the planning commission to get that changed. But they would not necessarily go back before the city commission.
Questions before? I don't know if you want to hear from Mr. Broderick first, Ms. Borland.
Let's hear from Mr. Broderick, and then Ms. Borland, we'll have you come on.
Mayor, members of the commission, as Hillary has pointed out, we've spent quite a bit of time in the past few weeks communicating back and forth with a lot of different people, with a lot of different ideas about what they want to do. At Planning and Zoning, there was an 8-3 vote in favor of this proposal. It has been at this location for 31 years as a business member of our community. We anticipate making a new building there. That's why we bought next to us on the left, if you're facing it on our Broadway address, what used to be Danny Barron's used car lot. We now own that and expanding our property there. That's where actually we will put our tanks. One of the reasons we want to do this is we'll have more space. We will align our entrances with the American National Bank entrance across the street, which has been a traffic problem, and that's something we did with Public Works here in Bowling Green. We also are going to line our entrances on Broadway where it will be less cumbersome to come off Broadway and not have so much congestion, what I'll say, at the stoplight. It's an unusual turn there at the stoplight to start with, and we did that with the Department of Transportation. At planning and zoning, we had 13 conditions that we agreed to. Since that time, we have added 5 more conditions, and this is to accommodate what we've heard from the public about things. Certainly one of the situations that started was there was some concern about parking in the rear, and we have eliminated that. We've eliminated 2 parking places and have the plat to go along with it. Not real scientific on the plat, but you'll see 2 X's that indicate the 2 parking spaces are gone, and it's also part of the condition. We have that signed and ready to file. I'll give it with the clerk tonight when we finish. We have circulated through the city attorney and through planning and zoning these conditions. One of the other things that we have done is we have agreed. There seemed to be some question about the landscape buffer, and we've added that in, that we will maintain it. I felt that that was a given, but there seemed to be some concern on the citizens' part that it wasn't, and we agreed to do that, obviously, really for our own good business purposes and the public's purpose, but we're glad to do that. All these conditions have been signed. They're to be filed and recorded if this is approved tonight, which we hope you will do. I will point out to you that there seems to be some duplication in item number 11 and item number 15. And the reason for that is we kept getting some questions. What about the fence? What about the fence? I thought number 11 was very clear about it, but let me try to make it clear one more time. There'll only be 1 fence. It will be on what I'll call the eastern side, but probably the more appropriate side is the residential side of Covington Avenue. Our address is a Broadway address, not a Covington address, but it does back up to that. So we're going to have a buffer, not only with vegetation and trees, but with the fence, but it's 1 fence, a 6-foot wooden fence, so we've described it well. And that's why you may see some duplication there, but it seemed to clarify one of the neighborhood complaints and concerns about it, so we wanted to make that perfectly clear. And again, we've talked about the landscape buffer, and that will be a permanent landscape buffer in that area. Probably the thing we're happiest about, having been here, and I've enjoyed representing Speedway in this matter, they've been a business citizen here for 31 years. If you look at the facility now, like me, it's gotten a little old, and they're going to update it. But the updating not only helps the facade, it helps the traffic situation that probably exists on Broadway and will forever, but I think we've done a better job with it at this point in time. So those are changes we're making. Yes, we're making changes 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 voluntarily, and we're glad to do this. This is to accommodate the concerns that we've gotten from the citizens. Not to say that we've made everybody happy, but we've certainly tried to accommodate everybody in this regard. I have 3 representatives from Speedway here tonight who we're glad to be here in person. It's nice to come in person to hearing. Not that Zoom's bad, it's just I seem to spend my life on Zoom lately, and it's just nice to see faces. But we welcome any questions. I think we can field any of them that you might have.
We'll continue, Mrs. Borland, we are going to get to your public comments, and we'll have you in a minute, but we'll go ahead, Commissioner Perigin.
Unless somebody else wants to go first. Thank you all, and thank you, I want to say, to Speedway Super America for investing in our community. We're very pleased to have such prominent companies come and want to do business here. This is a sensitive situation to a very historic neighborhood, and you all have been a part of that history for the last 31 years, and I think folks have been really glad to have that convenience there. I'd like for maybe Attorney Broderick or somebody from Speedway Super America to just touch on a couple things that I've heard, and I think most of us have heard from quite a few citizens in that area, concerns with, and a lot of them have already, with the addition of these 5 that, you know, we've passed along to folks, that, you know, parking in the rear, lighting back there has been dismal, and so it's promoted a lot of vagrancy and a lot of God knows what. We talked about the drug task force and things, but those dark business places like that do promote those kinds of activities. So thank you for agreeing to that. Minimizing the parking, I believe it's down to 1 spot so
ma'am.
people wouldn't gather and think that that's okay when it's not in somebody's neighborhood. So thank you for those things and for putting binding elements, I'm assuming that's a word that we could use, for the green space.
Yes, it is.
So-
Now they call it proposed development conditions, but I call it binding elements because that's a term we've been used to for a number of years.
Because we're old school, and
Yes.
that's what we call it. And I, for one, worked on changing binding elements at one time, and it was, no, it doesn't work that way. So once that's there and in place, that is a 40-foot landscape buffer that today looks pretty bad. It looks really bad back there. So hopefully that's, if this passes, that's going to be corrected sooner than later. And so two things. One is speak to the safety improvements. I'm on that. I'm in that area, but I'm on the other side of Broadway. So I'm on Highland. I'm there 8 times a day, turning left off of Small House onto Broadway, and some folks are then slamming on their brakes to go right into the Super America. We got to be really careful in there. And so how how's the safety of the traffic flow going to be improved? And then why, I've heard from several folks today, the reason why we would want to change the zoning from general business to highway business. What is that going to do to improve this corner?
We start off with your first. If you look on our development plan conditions, which the old-fashioned term is binding elements, we worked with the Kentucky Department of Transportation so we can get located as far away from the Broadway and Covington Small House intersection, because that's Small House goes one way, Covington goes the other. There is some traffic considerations there. So given the chance to do that, the Highway Department is going to help us move it back, and so we'll get, at least eliminate some of the problems there at that intersection that exist today. The same thing with Bowling Green Public Works. We're going to align with the entrance and exit at American National Bank. Now, I must tell you, about 25 years ago, I helped American Bank get their property rezoned across the street, and I'll date myself a little bit on that. And had we thought at the time about the traffic concerns, Bowling Green was a little bit smaller then. It wasn't as big an issue then. We should have aligned it then. So we're correcting a problem that we probably should have taken care of maybe 25 years ago. So those are safety issues. The location of our pumps, our building being further back on the property now gives more free access for it to be, I'm going to use the term circular, so people will be able to drive around, and that's important because it's a little tighter fit there. Now, if you drive by, you can see that. Just imagine that we're going to be further back off the road, so that's going to make it easier for the public to get in and out. The way we have aligned the pumps, this time the pumps are in 2 rows. At this time, they'll be in 1 long row at this time. So again, we have more of a circular way to move around. Which gets me to the question of why did we go from general business to highway business? Well, some of the ordinances that relates to general business and highway business have changed in 31 years. We were limited at the time to 4 pumps. You'll know from what we presented to planning and zoning, we're going to put 7 pumps in. That's our commitment. But they'll all be in 1 line. And that's the circular way for them to be able to get around, rather than we've gotten the 2 rows of people lining up there in front of the building. It accommodates our employees, it accommodates our customers, it accommodates traffic in the area. So that's the reason we went to highway business, and that's the only reason. Might have been some consideration because of the new building, but primarily to make sure we could do the pumps in a safer design that we have.
Thank you. Thank you again for your investment in our community.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Broderick, I've looked at these pictures over and over, and I keep trying to put myself in the citizens' shoes. There are a lot of concerns out there, but I think a lot of it is we can't envision what this is going to look like. So they've done a great job on this, but can you paint me a picture to put these fears at rest? Is it going to be this humongous building, huge sign, a lot bigger than what we have now? how are we protecting the citizens? But I appreciate all of these, but paint me a picture if you don't mind.
Sure. And I may ask the Speedway folks to say it too,
Okay,
but let me
great.
give you my perspective of it.
Okay.
First and foremost, it will be a new building.
Right.
We're going to do the same service. It's going to be safer. It's going to be an easier access to get in and out of on Broadway and on Covington, which will also affect Small House Road. It's something that has been there for some period of time. So as I've mentioned, it's dated, and it'll be in a new facility. We have eliminated a used car lot next to us. We bought that property. Nothing wrong with used cars. It's just the fact that maybe it didn't fit in to the neighborhood there. I don't want to plug the people the next door down, but we've got a new facility, an oil changing community, Jiffy Lube. If I've said it wrong, I apologize to those folks. But again, when you look at that corner now from Nutwood down to Covington, it's changed. It will make for a nicer look. Now, how does that protect citizens that live in the area? One, we want to stay in Bowling Green. We've been here 31 years. We want to continue to be here. Two, I think just from a pure safety point of view, just being able to change the entrances and exits, moving back further off the road, we've done not only ourselves a service, but the citizens also.
Is this building going to be taller than the current one? Is the sign larger?
This is Ron Sweet, and I'm going to let him tell you about it.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of council. Building is probably going to be right around the same size. So it's a pitch roof building. I think that's a flat roof building that's out there now. So you're going to add a little bit more architectural detail to it. It's going to be a quick brick style building, fairly attractive. And it's definitely going to have a different look and a different feel than what's there now. So.
But it's not going to be a lot larger building than what we have now.
We're at 20, I think, building now is probably 20 feet, and new building's probably at 23 feet. So you're talking about 3 feet of difference.
Thank you so much. I have one more question, if I may. I know how it was done in the past as far as the rezoning of property. How was it handled this time? It's probably for Mr. Moore. With COVID in place, were our citizens given enough time to respond during the public comment time section of that?
I'll let Hamp or Ben respond to that. He's muted.
Hamp, you're muted.
Commissioner Hill, this is Hamp Moore. This hearing was conducted on September 17th of 2020, and it was conducted remotely under the executive orders that have been issued. And so that said, the notices provided for this hearing were exactly the same. Notices by mail to surrounding property owners, notices by signage on the property, notices in the newspaper. And so with that notice, the hearing was conducted with the same opportunity to speak, and several members of the neighborhood did speak and address the concerns that Speedway has attempted to address tonight with these additional development plan conditions.
Were any special accommodations made because of COVID? More time or anything like that?
I'm not familiar with any additional time, but rather we tried awfully hard to provide the identical notice provisions in the paper on the property and by mail. And then ample opportunity was given to everybody to have their say. So I can't tell you that there were additional steps taken, but certainly the same protections were afforded.
Thank you.
There, if I may.
Yep, Carlos.
Mr. Moore, let me ask you this, kind of piggybacking off Commissioner Hill's question. And I know a lot of people have the internet today, but some older people do not have the internet. Was any accommodations allowed to basically allow them to participate by phone?
That opportunity is provided. I'm not familiar with any requests we received to participate in the hearing by telephone. Ben, if you're aware of any of those requests, I hope you'll add to that. So that opportunity exists, Commissioner Bailey. I'm not aware that anybody exercised that ability.
Certainly, the phone number is published with the Zoom link if someone wishes to have that. Obviously, the signs only have the Zoom link available on the sign as the location, but any of our other correspondence that we have does allow for the typical 3 ways you connect by virtual meeting on Zoom. The direct link where you can use a web browser or any other mobile device, and then also by telephone. There are several telephone numbers that are available, and I would have to review the meeting to know if anyone participated by telephone for this particular item, but we routinely do have some that participate by telephone in all of our meetings we've had since March.
All right, Commissioner Perigin.
A couple follow-ups too. For the first thing is I don't know if Ben wants to weigh in on this, if this is a statement or a question really, but how planning and zoning works in these areas that you give the opportunity for folks that are affected, not just the immediate area, but that's why the big sign goes up, so folks like Miss Borland down on Euclid and other places can come in. And I know we had people on Nutwood and Magnolia and South Park and other places that came and gave their concerns, their thoughts, their opinions, their, what is this going to do to our beautiful historic neighborhood and all of those things. And so that's how planning and zoning works. All the concessions, there's, 18 concessions. These came from issues and concerns that arose from the neighborhood, correct? That's how these come. And so for all those folks that came out and gave their voice and expressed their concerns, this is how it works, and this is how they get listened to. This is how they get heard, but this is how they get listened to. And so I want to say how much I appreciate those that came out in protection of their neighborhood, and that neighborhood is extremely valuable to all of us here in Bowling Green. And for you all to hear them and develop these 18 concessions that were not in your original binding. In your opinion, how does this development affect the value of the properties behind this facility? And I know it's an opinion. We're not going to know until somebody goes to buy that piece of property. We don't know where property values are all going up right now. We can see that. But does this enhance these properties?
Well, I will tell you this. First of all, I think my colleague, Mr. Moore, will tell you it's value, whether it's depreciating or appreciating, it's not a planning and zoning consideration.
Sure, I appreciate, but it is a city commission.
But it is a city commission
Darn right.
response, and I'll answer it this way. I think if you take this location and the American National Bank location and realize there have been no changes in the neighborhood since that time, that this has been, in my lifetime, in my professional career, a nice residential area, and it's continued to be so, even with these improvements that have been there 30-plus years. So I think as real estate in this particular section of Warren County and Bowling Green, the city particularly, increases in value, it will increase in value. It is an accommodation. Some people will say, no, it's not, but it's an accommodation because it's a convenience to the people that live in that neighborhood. Not just Covington, but Magnolia, Nutwood, further down Covington, South Park, all those areas. This is the place that they can go get milk, gas, whatever they might need. So I think it does help the value of their property.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brown?
Now she's off.
Can you hear me?
We can now, yes.
Thank you. I just have a few questions, but I can wait till Ms. Borland speaks, or should I go ahead and ask them?
Well, let's go ahead and get the commissioners and then allow Ms. Borland to talk.
So from the Speedway property, any of you, if you could just explain to me a little bit about the change in the parking spots, because it was just hard to tell in the new drawing what had changed. So if you could
Let me
explain.
start, Commissioner, and then I'm going to let them explain further too. We attached the diagram because there had been so much dialogue about the parking and exactly what we were going to do. So if you look at the diagram that you have, that's the attachment. Do you have that? I don't know. Do you have that, ma'am?
I think we just have the original in our packet. Ms. Jackson,
Okay, there is, if you take that one, if you see where the city alley is there on the left,
yes, sir.
if you go back to the back where you see the little circles, those are trees. If you look where there is a number, and we have eliminated those two parking places there, the ones closest to the trees. There will not be parking there. We have eliminated that. Where you see the kind of the dotted line across there, that's where the parking will start. So we've eliminated two parking spaces there. The chart that we have filed with the amendments shows an X on those two parking spaces. There will not be parking there.
But there will be one spot remaining?
Yes, ma'am, and that's going to be for employee parking only.
Okay, so in the residential lot, there's going to be one parking spot?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
And I apologize for you not having that plat, but it's with, we've exchanged these so many times. We have it with the original, and there are X's that mark that out, but I'm also on the record saying the same thing.
Great, thank you. Mr. Peterson, could you just explain to me again the special circumstances around the future land use map? And I don't know if exemption is the right word for the residential lot, because it's right next to this business lot, but if you'll explain that special circumstance.
Sure. So in this unique situation, the development itself, more than 51% was in a future land use map category that allows this commercial development to proceed without having the future land use map amendment. So that's why they were able to add that residential piece, if you will, without requiring a future land use map amendment. With the restrictions that they're proposing and the future land use map as drawn, any further encroachment or development would require a future land use map. So again, it just so happens that the piece that they're redeveloping happened to be more in the commercial than the residential, so they did not have to seek that future land use map amendment. So therefore, it is exempt from having to do that.
Thank you. And in terms of this, now that this whole lot will now become commercial, does that mean if they get the next lot that will continue to be more than 51%, and so then being able to encroach more and more? Or can you explain how it ends here?
Yeah, no, so with essentially any future lot, they would not be able to do that because they, never say never. First of all, they can apply to change things, future land use map, their zoning and everything, but it would all require public hearing. But it would require the additional step of the future land use map amendment. And the reason it sort of shuts that further commercial encroachment down with this proposed restriction is because now you'll have that intervening 40-foot buffer, 40-foot space that they have now encumbered by this development plan condition or restriction that says they cannot develop that lot. So therefore, they can't just keep adding more and more lots to that this commercial development or any future commercial development.
So this buffer isn't considered part of the commercial development of this property?
It is, but so the best way to say it's the rezoning would, if approved, would still go forward, but that area would be encumbered by those restrictions that would not allow any more commercial development, but it will still serve as that landscape and buffer to that residential area.
Okay, thank you. That's my last question. But I did want to make a comment and just say thank you to everyone, the neighborhood, for advocating for this beautiful neighborhood, for the developers for working with them, and our staff for being the liaison in between. Our city is growing fast, and growth is good, especially during this challenging year. However, I really do believe that our growth should be based in the vision of the city that we want to leave our kids and our grandkids. And the Covington neighborhood is one of the many neighborhoods we should protect as we grow, so it's here to enjoy for generations to come. So that's why I voted no on the first reading, but I believe that we have found a way forward that protects the neighborhood and allows the gas station to provide services to this neighborhood and our thriving downtown area. So again, I just want to thank everyone for working hard to create a win-win scenario. It takes some effort and it takes longer, but I'm so proud to set this example for our kids of how we can work together for a solution, even when we come from opposing sides. So I just, again, want to thank everyone for their hard work to come together and find a solution that will really reach our goals to protect the neighborhood, this beautiful neighborhood, and also grow and provide more services for our community. So thank you.
Thank you. I believe at this time, Mrs. Borland, thank you for your patience. I'll ask that you state your name and just your address, and then you can begin.
Thank you. Paula Borland. The address is 1315 Euclid, Bowling Green, 42103. I appreciate your allowing me to speak, and I just want to reiterate I'm still in favor of the property on Covington remaining residential. I'd like to know which would be easier to be changed for further commercial growth. If in fact it remained at this point residential, or if it was allowed the process that is being requested right now, if that was passed, which would be the more difficult for the property to become totally commercial and for it to continue on down that block. I see, I don't see the need for increased gas tanks or even a not much larger building there. A new building would be fine, but I don't see the need for us to have increased access to gas at that point, or really even a larger store. There are other places close by that our neighborhood can go to. Additionally, we have to deal with semi-tractor trailers bringing in consignment there. I personally have witnessed these large trucks going down 11th Street and Covington to service that particular store. And I think it would only increase that. Also, I've witnessed, as many other people have, the increased traffic, and I think that's only going to increase with a larger store, more gas tanks, more people traveling on South Full Road will stop there. I would like them to choose other places, not in our neighborhood, not in this historic neighborhood. And another, I know I sent a letter to the commissioners today, or an email, that the argument that this is already, there's already no living space on this property. It's already been demolished. So why not just go ahead and allow this to happen? Well, for years, people lived next door to the store. Many families did. And until the house was demolished, people chose to live there. And so I think people, given a reasonable pricing, people would again decide to live there. Developers would decide to develop that property residential rather than allow it to be commercial. So I would like to see one, if the vote does go to allow this to happen, that we would have some control over the large semi trucks coming in the area, make sure the lighting is there for that area. But first of all, I would be in favor of it remaining residential and allowing the store to be rebuilt, a smaller size, less tanks, so it would allow them to fit in the property that's already there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Borland. We appreciate your comments. At this time, we do not have any of record public commenters. We did have one, but he receded. His answers were given to him. I'd like to thank the public for working with this and communicating, and this has been a mitigation process, I believe, has been what is best, because there's been a significant amount of investment. It's Grease Monkey as the new resident on there. You also have Fatted Calf, a place. There's been investment into that community, and it's a very important part of our community. With that, there's no other public comments at this time. There is a motion on the floor to be voted for, and unless there's any other discussion from the commissioners. All right.
The only discussion, I don't know if I could do it before that, is that I
It's
do,
open.
kind of like the thing that Dana said, is that I agree that it needs to be protected, but I also see the improvement that needs to be done to that community. And with the barriers that's there, I believe that Speedway's trying to do everything that they possibly could do to make sure they keep the protection of that neighborhood. And I didn't know if I could say that right before I voted.
We open it up for you.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Motion's on the floor. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. All right, I'd like to thank everyone. This concludes our commission meeting, the very first one of January 2021. Our next meeting will be January 19th at 4:30 in City Hall on 2020.
2021?